the most complete team after week one. And I know week one got a lot of stuff going on. A lot of teams we thought were going to be a whole lot better, but that's why we have week one. We figure out some things. So I'm going to go ahead and throw it to two-turn Tony himself in Florida State gear. Let's see if they're his most complete team.
Well, before we do that, before I get into that, let me get a little bit more comfortable real quick. Had to get that right there. Now that we're back to normal, my most complete team so far, and obviously it's early, but it's the Michigan Wolverines. I mean, they got stout defense. They got a veteran QB that's got a really high ceiling, arguably the best backfield in the country, and they got arguably the best line. We're not going to see them face any real competition anytime soon, but as of right now, building off of last year and currently, I got Michigan as the most complete team.
All right. I'm going to throw it to Jared Cole real quick. Most complete team after week one.
Dude, this is so easy. This is so easy. It's your Georgia Bulldog. And I'll say it for the same reason that I'll say what TJ said about Michigan. I understand that, it's week one. Nobody played anybody. I get, Florida State played somebody, and we'll get to that later because Barry's got that pimp hat on, so we got to talk about that. But it's your Georgia Bulldogs. I know they came out and started slow. I get it. That's fine. First-year quarterback. You got 15 new receivers. I get it. Brock Bowers is still the best player in the country. No hands down. That's fine. Offensive line started slow. That's going to work itself out. You got 6 weeks before you got to play anybody with a pulse, so you got plenty of time to figure it out. Kirby Smart knows what he's doing. Defensively, I think, I got a hot take here. At the end of next season, Jordan Hall will be a top 2 defensive lineman in the country. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. We fly around at linebacker. The DBs are the best in the country. Best in the country. You heard it here first. You won't get thrown on all season. They just have a lot of young talent that I think is going to have enough time this season to get some games under their belt, to get some experience, to then become the best team in the country like they are. The coaching staff is senior as it can get, and this is where I give Nick Saban a lot of credit. I don't know how he does it every year with a staff that just overturns, but, Kirby Smart's been able to keep a lot of guys close. Mike Bobo's not a rookie. He's been here before. Muschamp on the defensive side of the ball, Glenn Schumann on the defensive side of the ball. They will be absolutely fine. The running backs will work themselves out as long as they can get a little healthy. But, again, they got 6 weeks to get healthy. Your Georgia Bulldogs are your most complete team after week one.
Wow. I'm not going to use the Georgia Bulldogs, but I'll give you my pick. I'm going to try to be unbiased here best I can. After week one, arguably they play a top 10 team at the end of the year. It's the Florida State Seminoles. Unreal performance. It almost seemed like if you paid attention to Facebook, the comments coming in on Sunday night were all LSU in the first half, thinking that they, maybe they did leave points on the board, but so did Florida State. They had some turnovers, they had some mistakes in the first half, but we saw who the real team and the best team was in the second half, and we saw Brian Kelly's comment saying they made a mistake when they said that because those boys played like the Georgia Bulldogs. Or he thought they were the Georgia Bulldogs, whatever he said, but he was wrong, okay? Just like Bobby Boucher says, looks, or Colonel Sanders, whoever he's talking about, looks like mama's wrong again. Brian Kelly showed up on Sunday night. And the Florida State Seminoles are your most complete team so far. And the Texas Longhorns or the Alabama Crimson Tide can have something to say about that on next week's show. But I'm going to throw it to the Alabama fan himself, Mr. Kevin. What do you got to say about this one?
Jared's right. The answer is easy, but it's not Georgia. You can't call Georgia a complete team when they play Prairie View or somebody. It's an FCS school. I'm going to wait. I'm not going to say Georgia's not. I'm just going to wait a little bit to crown them. I'm going to go with what Steve said. FSU, man, they dismantled LSU in the second half. They look good on every level. Their coaching looked great. That running back is a stud. The receiver's a stud. The quarterback can win the Heisman if he keeps playing like that all year long. And their defense was lights out. So, they looked like the 90s FSU. So short and simple, man. To me, the most complete team I've seen yet is FSU.
All right, enough said there. Coach Price.
Well, I was gonna go with the FSU team, but you know, something was bound to give. One team had to play better than the other. You had to play a complete game. I told you that if LSU didn't make any mistakes, that that they would be able to beat FSU, but they weren't mistake free. Your punt returners, y'all are still fidgety. Every last punt returner for LSU right now is not looking for a return. He's just praying that he can catch it.
Exactly.
So right now, I think that the most complete team week one, I'm with TJ on it. I'm going to go with Michigan. The only reason why I say Michigan is just because outside of the FSU LSU ball game, who played anybody? East Carolina, you're a better team than UT Martin. You're a better team than Middle Tennessee. So I agree with TJ on that note. I think Michigan was the best team week one, but that's just week one. And I mean, when you're in a week where everybody is playing a little dessert, you know, why not go out and be the team to come home with the meal? But honestly, the team that's not on this list that I think was played the most complete game was Penn State because Indiana was no joke.
Hey, I received a postcard today. Okay. Something came in the mail and it was from Auburn, Alabama. And I don't have many people that I know there. So I don't know who would be contacting me. But he said, you know what? Bring me on the show. You need an Auburn Tiger fan. So here he is at the very bottom. Go ahead and introduce yourself and give me your most complete team after week one.
Well, my name's Craig. I've been knowing that guy right there in that stupid Alabama hat since I was we're both knee high to a grasshopper.
Which one?
Well, the one with the glasses on right there. It's got the Alabama jersey on, just like me.
2018 Gump of the Year himself.
Yeah, that's a great handle there. Gump of the Year. Met Barry through him. So just kind of been sharing back and forth messages, hung out with him a couple times, with Barry a couple times, and hang out with Kevin every time we get a chance. But originally from Scottsboro, same place that Kevin's from. And then we lived in Nashville for 20 years, and we just moved back down to Gunnersville. Got a little 4-year-old, so I'm running pretty ragged around. That's why I was 5 minutes late. I got a redheaded wife and a little blonde 4-year-old, man. They keep me busy. So it's hard for me to keep up around here. I think I'm the only fool in Central Time, too.
Yes.
Welcome aboard.
But yeah, adding on to what Kevin said, I think Florida State most complete team week one. I mean, I watched pretty much every snap of that game, and they just showcased talent all across the board. It's going to be a tough team, especially in the conference they're in. That's the downfall of the SEC. I mean, it's the downfall because let's just face it, the SEC is kind of like the Bush series of NFL. Just get right down to it. You look at the prospects and then look at the level of talent across the SEC, all across the board. I mean, even the scrub teams got talent on it to go pro, right? I mean, none of the other conferences do that. And I'm kind of a homer, of course, but in the same breath, you can't argue with that. I mean, facts are facts. It's going to be a lot easier for them to run the table versus some team in the SEC. I don't know if we're going to talk about this later, but I wanted to hear y'all's kind of thoughts on I'm not against the 8-team playoff. I know some of the diehards are kind of against the 8-team selection versus the 4-team because it leaves a little wiggle room for a lot more SEC teams to get in there. And at the end of the day, even though, every week of the year except the last game, as long as Auburn's not in the game, I would rather, get kicked in the nads than Alabama win a football game. But if they're playing the natty against Ohio State, that's an easy choice. I'd rather them win it where I got to hear those fans talk about we won 74 championships back in 1862. You know how that goes. Yeah. But I'm hoping I think the 8-team playoff is going to leave a lot more wiggle room to – you look 12. At the way it pans out. SEC could have 4 teams in that sucker.
12-team playoff.
Oh, 12-team. I love going to 8.
Already instantly regret inviting the Auburn fan, but literally he was the only one I know. So.
All right. Well, I agree. You know what? I'll say it. I like a bigger playoff because I'm a football fan. And let's be honest, every one of our teams involved here would have a chance to be in the playoff every year, and a very good chance.
Right.
Hey, let's all agree on one thing at least tonight. We like more football. Let's bring the playoff in.